Yeah, Dr. Allison J.K. here, and I'd like to talk with you about being a know-it-all. So I know that our conditioning, whether we grow up in any society across our globalized world right now, we're being taught that the more we use our smarts and apply effort, we're going to get ahead. That's what the tools are to get ahead, right? And so using our efforts means different amounts of will and efforting and force and focus. But it's tough now on planet Earth, you know? You do. And that might be in part why you're here, but there's a reason why it's tough right now. And without going into all of those reasons, which are resplendent throughout my books and my products and my events, you can in videos, the bottom line is we're meant to be doing something different and something new now. And that doesn't mean just socially in our societies, the way we organize, it means individually. So where you've been applying your efforts and where you've been using your smarts, it doesn't translate into the world of the metaphysics. And so meta meaning beyond the physical, anything you're doing with the law of attraction, with yoga class, with meditation, with working on your mindset, with the chakras, possibly with energy medicine, with Reiki sessions, anything you're doing in that world of opening up to beyond the physical doesn't work, it doesn't translate the same way as our human taught effort smarts. In fact, how many of you feel like you're a know-it-all and you like to know, you like to be right? I know I did in the classroom, and as a former classroom teacher, I know my students enjoyed being right. It's a nature of the ego mind, which is a term from Buddhism. I've been teaching meditation for a bunch of decades and doing it myself. But in the metaphysical arena, beyond the physical, mystery just doesn't work that way. It's not about the more you learn and the more right you are. In fact, the more you let your preconceived notions or conclusions about how this all works and about wanting to be right and wanting to get it, actually, the more you're going to access beyond the physical. So if you're here, you likely have your algorithms kicking in because you're into something like I've mentioned before, right? So let's take the law of attraction. Your first interest is, there's your first level, let's say, there's something beyond the law, beyond life. There's got to be an easier way. And by now you've heard about the law of attraction, or as it's referred to in universal laws, the law of magnetics. And so whether you grew up going to church or the mosque or the synagogue, or you're a nature lover and you go out and see sunsets, there's something beyond the physical, right? I mean, that's the nature of our times, is called spiritual awakening times. So I know you've had an experience. Now, you may have also reached out to work with the law of attraction and learn the techniques of manifesting. And so you may now also be using a few of the tools you've learned, and you feel lighter as you're meant to. Yeah. And now the next level is you may be seeing the tools that you've applied work here and there, the seeing of synchronicities, of repeated numbers, of animals fluttering by you, like butterflies or birds in a really important moment. Really cool stuff could be starting to happen in your life. And a lot of people, I find, stop there. And what I mean by that is that's the magic. They feel like they've reached the magic that is beyond the physical. But as somebody who lived in Asia for a decade, studying how consciousness and the subtle energy system works, and that there are certain mechanics to it, it doesn't stop there. In fact, you've only just created a tiny opening, and it's great, but there's so much more. The cool stuff that is actually a part of the yogic path, which is every yogic posture. For example, when I was in India for my yoga teacher training, we were asked to design a sequence, meaning yoga posture for a class, based on opening up the chakras. And every yoga posture physically is actually designed to open a chakra, a power center. It's the intersection of the mind, the body, and the spirit. So working through those power centers, I have found, has been the most reliable way to both assess and activate, as well as clear a person's blockages that come from what I call the back of the house consciousness, the thoughts you don't hear. So if all the work that you're doing on this path is playing and getting some cool results, excellent. And if all the work that you're doing is getting coaching to help work on your mindset, excellent. But what I want to open up for you is if you allowed yourself, and I'm going to just say it straight, if you allowed yourself to give me a certain amount of time, and I'm not going to define that here because I don't want to scare you. It's not like 10 years. It's not like 5 years. The whole system, vibrational upgrade system that I developed, it was from the request whilst with a client in an energy medicine session. How can I get even more robust results for my clients? This is great. And that took me to Asia for a decade. And so this week I have had so many different calls with clients and masterminders. Masterminder is my highest level program. And at that level, I have had so many times where I have sat back on a call looking at all my people in the mastermind and recognizing, like to the point of sometimes having my eyes go teary, which isn't frequent for me, or just flabbergasted, sitting back with my mouth a little bit open because they're living the lives that had come to me when speaking from their heart with their deepest desires. They're actually ending up living those lives. And it's just brilliant over and over again to observe. This week I had a call with one, and when we tuned into her intuition, the first image she saw was a rainbow, which as we extrapolated that imagery and what the context, greater context in her life and what we've been working on, she's there. Like there are mechanics to your chakra column that if I were able to go in and tweak them, help you, for example, have to exert less effort. There's other tweaks I do in the mechanics of how the subtle energy system and our consciousness work and correspond to each other that can open your system up to receiving more intuitive guidance, and other clearings I can do to clear out where you've gone into the self-talk afterwards of doubting yourself, doubting the image, not understanding the image or message, whatever voyance it is, clairvoyance, clairaudience, pardon me, whatever clear skill it is, whatever of the senses, clairsentience feeling, clairvoyance seeing, clairaudience hearing. So without going down that trail, where you're putting forth so much effort, it is meant to be easier. There is, because of the increased intensity on planet Earth, there is so much more support that I've observed coming in over the years. And in particular, once 2023 hit, it was like there was this release of even more support coming down in the metaphysical all around each of our greater fields. That there are certain mechanics I can do that help you access that support more, so that you could actually be living up to potential you didn't even ever consider consciously. So why I opened up this video with about talking about how good it is to be right, and even asking you if you're a know-it-all, and then letting you know that there is a trait of the ego mind, our conscious mind, whose thoughts we hear, to want to be right, to classify, judge, and label, accessing beyond what you've already been able to create requires more force and effort if you don't get these certain clearings and activations and tweaks in your subtle energy field and in your consciousness. There's so much more efforting applied. When I'm telling you, if you would only listen with your heart and hear beyond what you think you know, you can be opened up to a life. And I don't want you to just hear the words and check out thinking I've heard this before. You can, I don't make promises unless they're safe to make. I have such a rigor with my integrity because I don't want to overpromise people, because that's not cool in this arena. But really, you could be living, as I help, when I work with people, as I help bring in their higher self's guidance, as we attune them, clear and activate and attune them to their own guidance more and more, and eventually their training wheels come off and it's more their intuition, and then I help them in the later stages. You could be accessing in these things, these mechanics I'm talking about, that I know that I don't hear anybody else talking about from all of my training and background. The tweaks we can do in your field to help you then call to your field, your consciousness, your subtle energy system, to perceive what else you can create beyond what you've already been able to create. That's so much easier and faster than all the other tools I've seen out there. And also, you know, you're highly successful, most likely you're happy with your life. There's an area maybe you want to change. It's an area maybe you've been working on with other practitioners that you want to change. I am that person. Whatever, like anchor person or batter up, like, you know, the person we rely on to get the job done. I don't like to put myself across that way because it sounds heavy. You know, I like to play this whole path. This is meant to be so much more playful. And part of it is clearing out the parts of our ego mind trained and entrained to seriousness. Because with that lighter vibration, here is a tip. There's a lot more possible that can come in on a higher vibration of joy than on, damn it, I'm suffering here. Damn it, this is hard. That's a more closed energetic. So one of the other things that I realized this week, I'm going to give you another nugget. Since around 2014-ish, my second book, I go into this. I have 4 out there. I learned as I observed what I was being asked to do in all my sessions, and I don't use extreme words typically either, but in all my sessions, I would say with almost all, if not all of my clients, they had me, when I was doing work over their heart chakra and their throat chakra, I became aware of a pattern. And when I asked my guidance to tell me about what this new pattern is, it was about opening up what I've come to call the co-creators channel. Now, you may be or not be versed in the chakra column, but the throat chakra is typically what everybody else out there talks about as the one that's relevant to communication. Yes, but I have been adding on a second layer to it since about 2012, since my radio show and interviewing experts about what December 21st, 2012 meant, and being at Chichen Itza on that day, and understanding that we are meant to be moving beyond the old era and the old paradigm, and recognizing our power to choose, and that we are, in fact, with that, creating our physical reality. So then that's why we do all the inner work to make to have shifts inside, to make different choices, and to have what I do, bring in new possibilities so that we can, for us to reach our greatest potential individually and collectively. So I learned that I've come to call the throat chakra the second power center of these times. Historically or traditionally, it's the solar plexus chakra. That's the power center. But what I came to see this week when working with a couple of different people was, it used to be at the heart chakra, which is what this color green is for, the heart chakra. That's considered the crossing point in the chakra column. So if you think of a T or like a Christ cross, where the heavens meet the earth at the throat, at the heart chakra, I think, and what I saw this week is, in these times, it's now becoming even more the throat chakra. So what I'm getting at is probably many of you who are really good at the material level. You know, you've been able to get yourself 6-figure plus lifestyle, more than enough, and success in the physical world, but you don't feel connected, or you don't feel like you hear your guidance, or you don't have an easy time following your guidance, or you're like at a status quo comfort zone. And then there's the people I've seen too who are really spiritually inclined, and they don't have it together at the material plane. Like they're having money issues, they're kind-hearted, good-loving people, they want to do good for the world, but they have money issues, or they have weight issues, or they spend a lot of time in their head. So to me, what I saw this week is, because we make our choices through our throat chakra, and we'll have tighter necks, or even a thyroid issue, because a chakra is a wheel, that's what it means in Sanskrit to English, and it turns vital life force energy, or chi, or prana, and it is the intersection of the mind, the body, and the spirit, as I've already said. So here, if this isn't turning its vital life force energy, the throat can get tighter. Every chakra is connected to a major hormonal gland, so the thyroid isn't getting fresh vital life force energy. Starting to get it? So if this is our choice center, and if we feel like we have no choice, or our choices are limited, like let's say we stay in the job we do because it has the health insurance for the kids, And it's not a job that we have joy from doing. So we will have possibly a tighter neck because we feel like our choices are limited, and maybe the shoulders is earrings, as we learn in Pilates, right? So when we make a choice, what I learned and perceived this week stronger than ever before is that's how we bring down the heaven onto the material plane. So when we have our system pulling for us and open to receiving the support and the metaphysical all around us, and we don't spend a lot of time in self-talk that's doubting the action step, doubting your worth, if you should take it, these outcomes, projecting so you don't ever do it. Like if we just action out easily the yang of the yin guidance, this is it. It gets translated onto the physical plane, showing up in our lives by our choices. So I really just want to say to you, if you think this is neat and oh wow, and you put it in your library to listen to again, or you go listen to more videos, I'm telling you, you could save years. And literally, I've had people say to me, Dr. Allison, I wish I had found you years ago. It would have saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Others have said tens of thousands of dollars. Others have said time frame. Because really, I bring it all together here in a way that is enjoyable. And if you just didn't filter with your judgment, she's talking about something that I resonate with. She's not talking about something I don't resonate with. If you've gotten this far, congratulations on your focus and on your ability to listen. But I just see so many people reading this, what seems like the same old thing as we get our feed through our scrolls, and you just dismiss it. Or you conclude, I know what that person's talking about. I don't need to take it in. Hence, are you a know-it-all? Because if you are, you're blocking and limiting what else can come in. And now is not the time to do that. Thank you. Blessings to you. And what if saying namaste didn't have a whole host of people in yoga do that, people who are world traveled and including India do that? Like, what if you just, lived with a bit less of that automatic labeling and judging and evaluating that has gotten so much more hyped up in the days of social media? I know. So if you were following your guidance and you got a yes to click on this, good on you for following through. So much more is possible than our conscious minds can even conceive. And if we were to surrender more to someone we trust that can help us get there, like myself, with the actual techniques, we would have more of us lighter, more of us turned on, and more spirit infusing into matter. And that spirit wants to help us. Okay.